Good evening. Thank you so much for participating in the School Health Advisory Council for 2021-2022. So for those of you that are new to SHAC, why do we need a School Health Advisory Council or a SHAC? For a number of reasons. It is Texas law. Healthy children learn better, and that's what we're all about here in CFB. Schools play an important role in teaching healthy habits, and healthy homes and healthy schools support healthy children. The goals of the SHAC. SHAC assists the district to ensure that local community values are reflected in our health instruction. SHAC plays a role in strengthening the connection between health and learning, and SHAC helps parents and community stakeholders to reinforce the knowledge and skills needed to promote healthy habits and behaviors for a lifetime. So the components of a coordinated school health program are family and community involvement, nutrition services, physical education, health education, counseling, psychological and social services, health services, a healthy school environment, and health promotion for school staff so that we can set a good example for our students. So parents are of students in the district are required to make up the majority of the School Health Advisory Council members. So please feel free to invite other parents who may be interested in participating in the SHAC. We have some bylaws that you got when you signed in today. Please review those for the next meeting, which is scheduled for October 14th from 7 to 8. A change in legislation requires us to have some updated bylaws, as well as requires a process. So we must have at least 10 members appointed to the school board to advise the board on school health. Your names and any other names of any other interested parents will be submitted to the school board at the October 7th meeting. And then the appointed committee, which will meet at the next meeting, will then vote to adopt the bylaws and select a chair, co-chair, and a secretary. So my role, as you can see from the bylaws, I'm the advisor from the district. So my role is to help and facilitate the activity of the committee, but it's supposed to be a parent-led organization. So.
Okay, as you know, you saw out of the components that health education is one of them, besides physical education, which I'll probably report on probably in the next meetings or so, just to give you an update on that. But tonight we're going to talk about what we're doing in our health education-wise for CFBISD. So we do have a health curriculum in CFBISD. We started at elementary. We start with actually we start younger than 5th grade. We talk about just healthy relationships, nutrition with kids, through our PE classes, through kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. When we talk when our PE teachers talk with our kids, they talk about how to respect each other, making good decisions. And then, of course, every school has Red Ribbon Week, which we kind of bounce off that all year long about saying no to drugs and alcohol and tobacco and all those nasty things that we tell the kids that's not good for your body and stuff like that. So we do take them through some healthy eating, nutrition, talk about that. And then in 5th grade, we take them through a maturation talk with the school nurse and the counselor. Then we go on to middle school. We do not have an actual health class in middle school anymore. That is reserved strictly for the high school. But we do, at the middle school age, in 6th grade, we do Choosing the Best Path, which is a curriculum that we use. It's 8 lessons. It's a booklet that each child gets, and through that booklet it talks about healthy relationships, just the pressures that they start to feel when they're moving from kind of that adolescent to tween into teenager. We talk about setting boundaries. We talk about abstinence. We do touch a little bit on human sexuality. We don't go into detail. We preach abstinence, as that is our base. We do a whole drug unit saying no to drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and any other risk-taking behaviors. High school is where we get the bulk of the health curriculum, because that is an actual class. And you can take it whether you're a 9th grader all the way up to being in 12th grade. In this health class, we have several different types of curriculum within our curriculum. By state law, we have to have a human sexuality type of curriculum. And right now we're using Big Decisions, which is actually a abstinence-based human sexuality. And we talk about teen pregnancy. We talk about, through that is diseases, STIs, STDs. We talk about those type of things. We also have to have, by law, what's called a PAPA curriculum. Yes, sir?
Is this mandatory, this class, through the 4 years?
For CFBISD, yes, it is considered a required course to take for graduation. It is no longer a state graduation credit with the state of Texas, but CFBISD feels that it's very valuable that our kids all partake in a health class. Yes, ma'am.
So when you said you don't have the middle school health anymore, are you talking about the one that they could take that would count for
That
high
would
school?
count, yes.
Okay.
Yes. We moved it strictly to this to offer up some more choices for some CTE classes. Okay? Not that it's not important, it's just that they're going to get it in high school anyway. So, the PAPA curriculum is one by state law that we have to teach, and that is actually, it goes along with the Big Decisions, and it talks about parental rights, especially from the paternal side, which means the father rights. Okay? We do a whole unit on drugs, alcohol, tobacco, risk-taking behaviors. We do a mental and emotional health. We talk about anxiety, depression. We also incorporate the NEST curriculum. That is dealing with human trafficking. And then also having healthy and safe relationships. We also dwell on nutrition, healthy eating. They do food logs. They do activity logs. So this health curriculum is actually a semester long. It could be a year long because of how much you talk about in the health curriculum. However, it is only a semester class. What is being continued this year? Of course, we are mandated by Senate Bill 530 from many, many years ago, and that is the 135 minutes of moderate or vigorous structured physical activity per week. And for that, we use CATCH, which is a coordinated approach to children's health. And through that is a variety of different type of games and things that the classroom teacher can do, as well as a PE teacher can do. Okay, so with the 135 minutes, I'm sorry it's a little small, but I wanted to make sure that you knew the law on that. In elementary grades K through 5, or in elementary school K through 6, depending on the district, but it does not require daily recess. Okay, so recess, when kids just go out there and it's not called structured, you cannot count those minutes. Okay, if it's structured, meaning teachers are going to take them out for 15 minutes of recess, but it's structured, we're going to bring out the catch games, that counts towards the 135 minutes. Okay? So it kind of gets down to about 30 minutes each day. The state also mandates at least 30 minutes per day of structured, moderate to vigorous structured physical activity in junior high grades 6th through 8th, or 7th and 8th. Now, remember, in middle school, it is required by law that they have 4 semesters of physical education. So we try to get it to where they have it 6th grade and 7th grade. So that suffices the state law. Sometimes we can't get it all in their schedules, so they might take PE when they're an 8th grader. But with middle school, they are seen every day with PE. Elementary, it's on a rotational basis. Okay, so it might be every third day or every fourth day that they get to come to PE. Okay. With the exception of kindergarten, physical activity may or may not be included in physical education curriculum. However, since 2010, school districts are required to ensure at least 50% of the physical education class includes actual physical activity, which ours does meet that requirement. We also are continuing with our fitness gram. That is for grades 3 through 12th grade in all PE and PE credited classes. What that means is it might be a Dance 1 class that's getting a PE credit. It might be ROTC that's getting a PE credit. Okay, because there are some PE substitution classes, so we do have to count that. Marching band, those type of things. Okay. The CPR graduation credit for all seniors will be back in person this year with the City of Carrollton Fire Department. Brian Dickerson, he heads that up for us with all 5 of our high schools, and we are also including 8th grade this year. And eventually we like to get it down to 5th grade because we feel repetition of 5th, 8th, and then graduating senior really sets in with the CPR. Okay.
When do you get the students that are at Mary Grimes?
We actually just had one that is graduating early, so we just did that one, but we do them in the fall. Yep. Jonathan Wilk goes over and takes care of them. Okay. What is new coming to health this year? This is a new health TEKS revision year for the state of Texas. It's also the new textbook adoption year. Now, if you remember, the state of Texas doesn't really look at health as a graduation requirement, so that's where we're going to look at textbook adoption, the materials. Between my group and with Sandra, we'll be looking at several different health materials to bring back to this committee to have you guys look at it, take a look at it. There is a part of that SHAC will have a role in approving the new human sexuality curriculum that goes in effect next fall of 2022. So it's not like we have to do that tonight. That's what our year is for, is to look at those materials. The whole thing with the health, human sexuality curriculum is parents now have to opt in. Before it was parents could opt out their child. Now it's like they have to opt in for their child to take it, so therefore materials have to be separate. You'll have your health curriculum, then you'll have your human sexuality curriculum. Okay, so it's a little bit more, but hopefully parents will see the value in it. Yes,
so
ma'am.
It'll be taught in health classes, and those who don't opt in, so only a part of the class maybe will attend this section, and the rest will do something different?
Yep, that is how it is written this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not sure why. I don't get into that part. We just implement the TEKS. Okay. Any questions? And you guys asked questions all along, so that's great. Okay, and again, I'll be back to do physical education later on. Yes, ma'am.
I am kind of curious. The curriculum that you currently use, how long has that curriculum been implemented in the district?
That's a really good question. Okay, so 11 years ago, we brought in Choosing the Best,
Okay.
which was at elementary, middle school, and high school.
Okay.
7 years ago, Big Decisions came out along with Papa, so we had to change that. So it was pretty much teaching the same thing, except the high school went into more detail. So we did not do the Choosing the Best with high school. At the beginning of this year, we had some parents that really felt that the Choosing the Best way, which is the elementary version, was a little much for kids to handle. So we pulled that for this year, knowing that we are going under a new TEKS and new human sexuality. And believe it or not, part of that elementary piece is we have to teach fetal development, which I think is a lot for younger kids. That's a lot, I didn't get that until I was in health class in high school when I grew up, but that's what the state of Texas TEA would like us to teach because that's part of the TEKS. So That's all, that will all be presented to y'all in time.
Okay, so I wouldn't make sure that I understand correctly. So the newest curriculum was adopted 7 years ago
For high school.
for high school,
For middle school and elementary, it's 11 years ago.
11 years ago. Okay.
And it's been about 12 years since the last textbook adoption.
Okay.
Yes, Sandra?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, for the benefit of people in this room that are not teachers, can you explain what TEKS are?
Oh, yes, it's the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And that is what the Texas Education Agency gives us as goals to teach. And it's kind of like what you want your student to know after they're done with this. It's always my segue in. If you go home, the kids go home, what did you learn today? That's kind of what you start with your TEKS, is what we'd like you to know today. And then it gives you all these different categories and bullets that we have to accommodate through the semester of the course. And most textbooks are written according to the TEKS, so that's the brilliant part of it. Yes, sir.
I have just and maybe we'll get into the weeds with this later on, so just tell me, keep your tense. So I'm looking through sort of, you give us, I feel like a pretty good description of physical activity throughout. And I had a couple of questions, and I guess I don't know if it's for this or for the state or whatever, but what's the goal there? Like, if we had, what's the rate limiting step and what's the goal? Like, what should we be shooting for? You know, what are your like partners, right? Like, if we go across the street to the whatever district, I mean, are we in alignment across?
We are in alignment because we all teach the same TEKS.
Not necessarily for Carrollton ISD.
Okay.
If you go over to wherever, Dallas ISD, Frisco ISD, Prosper ISD, where do we sit in that world?
We are right there with them. We are right across the board. The DFW has a great group of PE and health teachers from each district that meet once a month, and it's called the PE and health coordinators monthly meetings, and then we all talk about, like, okay, what are we gonna do with these TEKS, and what books are out there, and what new things are you guys doing here? So we all celebrate and share in everything. So it's I mean, we are not below, we're not above, but we're even with everybody else.
Yeah. No, I was kind of less about curriculum and more about time. Like, so 30 minutes on average, or 135. I mean, that's mandated.
Those are mandated. Those
Yeah, so
physical,
you
you
have
have
to
to
be there.
meet those.
That's your floor.
Yeah.
What's your ceiling? Like, is there a net benefit to? Because I mean, we'll probably
The-
get weeds
the-
on that, but more physical
I
activity.
will tell you from PE's my background, so
Sure, yeah.
physical education, the more activity you can get kids, the better the brain waves work.
Sure, yeah. No, I
Okay?
think, yeah, all
So,
research would tell you that's true. Yeah.
depending on elementary, on a 3-day or 4-day rotation, even if it's a 4-day, you are hitting right there. We're not below that, because we don't ever want to be below that, because if we get audited, we have to show our minutes
Yeah.
for every school. Okay, of course, middle school, you're going to be above that, way above that, because you see them every day.
Right.
Okay, your 3-day rotations, they are a little above, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I just kind of want to see where you are in the landscape, because I don't have a frame of reference for that.
Absolutely.
And the content, I feel like that's probably pretty easy to show off the facts, but I don't
Absolutely.
really know what good is in that regard. So.
Absolutely. Yes,
So
ma'am.
kind of to follow off of that question, like, we understand what CFB does in terms of days of the week for PE, so does everybody around us, all these other school districts do the same? Do they rotate in elementary PE every 2 or 3 days? And do middle school, they have like a everyday middle school PE?
Most of the middle schools around the Metroplex meet every day on a 7-period or 8-period schedule, depending if they're block, if they're traditional periods. We are traditional non-block. With elementary, it really depends on your size of your school within your school district. But the majority out there have always talked about 3-day or 4-day rotations. It's to find an elementary to go every day is very rare, and usually those are specialized academy type schools. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I come at this from team parenting, so you know I have an opinion on all that. But I have been in on some Zoom meetings to learn about the new TEKS through the Texas Campaign for the Prevention of Teen Parents. They have this really cool website. I mean, it's not theirs, but it's called texasisready.org, and it actually has a whole packet for SHAC committees. So is that, I've never been in around curriculum adoption and all that kind of stuff.
That is part of the materials
that
we'll be
normal?
bringing. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I actually saw that same thing.
Good.
Yep. Yep. We just didn't want to bombard you with, we wanted to show you what we're doing because this doesn't go in effect until next fall. So we didn't want to break the wheel now. We want to, you know, keep it well oiled and keep going until we have to make the change. Anything else? Well, I appreciate being able to talk to you about my part in this. So turn it back over to you, Sandra.
And so to follow up on that, the state of Texas is not approving or giving us, you know, examples of approved curriculum until the end of November. So it's going to be a while before we kind of have some examples of what meets the criteria to look at. So just so you kind of know a little bit about timing. So that's all we had as far as content for tonight. Thank you very much for being here, for your participation, your willingness to be here, and your time. We will look forward to meeting in October, and once again, we'll be planning to review the bylaws and to select the chair and co-chair and secretary at that meeting.